The Silesia Diamond League just passed, and it was a chaotic meet to say the least. And to be honest, track and field in general has been more chaotic than ever this season. In this meet alone, we saw world records being challenged, injured athletes running historic times, and absolutely diabolical pacemaking by one of the greatest female distance runners ever. Outside of the Diamond League, we also have Grand Slam track scrambling to pay the millions of dollars owed to the athletes from their upstart league. But before we get onto that, I want to cover my personal favourite event in the men's 1500 meters, which had a very deep field comprising of 10 sub 330 runners, including Yared Nuguse, Josh Hoey and Timothy Cheruiyot, among many others. Nuguse in particular needed a win to earn enough points to qualify for the Diamond League final. The paces were set to run at the current world lead of Azzedine Hab's 3:27.53, but unsurprisingly, no one was really interested in that pace, except Ollie Hoare for some reason. Everyone else would settle into a solid but controlled pace, with Nuguse leading the front as he usually likes to do. This was smart running by Nuguse. He has suffered a couple times from chasing a super fast time and fading in the final 200, which whilst I respect the boldness, it's not the safest way to win races, and him doing this consistently along with 3 doubles in the GST meets seems to have tired him out throughout the season. Instead, the Goose seemed to be keeping things measured and controlled, presumably planning to push in the final lap. As this race heats up, we get treated to some nail-biting pole vault footage. After missing almost the entire lap of the third race, we're back on track, where we see Cam Myers has taken the front and the pack swallows up a fading Ollie Hoare, who I kind of just felt sorry for in this race. I don't know who asked for a 3:27 pace, or if this was just the meet organisers trying to manufacture a super fast race, but he clearly went out hard assuming everyone else would do so. But by the time he realised that he was the only person chasing the paces, he was kind of stuck in no man's land. It was too late to slow down, so he just had to stick it out and inevitably get swallowed up by the chase pack. Moving on though, Norway's Narve Nordas makes a push for the lead down the back straight, and Nuguse, sensing the danger, responds sharply to the move. He takes the lead with 200 to go and charges home for a solid win. Shout out to the Cheruiyot as well for finishing like absolute freight trains. Overall, a much needed, tactically sound win by Nuguse. Time was nothing special at a 3:33.19, but these were the exact tactics that were most likely to get him the win. Start off measured, begin to turn the screws with 700 to go, and then strike in the last 300 to take the victory. As you can see by the split times, he did just that. It's a good start to his campaign to win the Diamond League final, and it allows him to not use up so much energy after an already very tiring season. His chances of actually winning the Diamond League final and qualifying for Tokyo depend massively on the competition, however. Looking at the current standings, there are 2 potential runners I see that could seriously challenge the Goose. One is Niels Laros, who pulled out of the Silesia race on short notice. His coach wasn't very clear as to why, but the implication reading the statement he provided to Let's Run is that it was due to small niggles in training. Laros has been injury prone for a while now, so I would not be confident that he can beat Nuguse unless he can return to that strong form. My main concern though is Faniel Koech. Although the young Kenyan has a guaranteed entry for Worlds, we still might see him do a tune-up race in the Diamond League final. He ran a 3:28.8 in London to beat Josh Kerr, has shown he can finish a race fast, and knows his stuff tactically, so I see him as a big threat for Nuguse going into Zurich. Although it was a good win in Silesia, it wasn't convincing enough to make me think that Nuguse is rounding into some really good shape, whereas Koech has run comfortably under 3:30 in his last 3 races. With Nuguse's current form, I don't see him beating Koech unless the Kenyan suddenly lacks fitness 2 weeks out from World Championships. But if Koech decides not to race or has an off day, I do think Nuguse has a really solid shot of winning the final. We'll just have to wait and see. Hobbs Kessler was also running here and unfortunately had another bad race. I really think he's going through some sort of mental trouble right now, because unless he was ill before this race, he should be doing much better. He has great 800 speed, and this was not a fast race by any means. I imagine he's feeling pretty defeated after USA's, which is understandable, but it seems he just needs to forget, reset, and look forward to a fresh start next season. He's young and he's got plenty of time to do so. Next we have the women's 800 meter, which saw the return of Great Britain's Olympic champion Keely Hodgkinson, who had not been running for an entire year due to a hamstring injury she picked up after the Olympics. In spite of this though, the paces were set at 1:54 pace, not far off the world record. They went through 400 in a blistering 56 seconds. Keely held strong though and powered to a dominant world leading time of 1:54.74, almost a full 2 seconds faster than Tsegay Duguma's previous world lead. And I need to stress, this was after more than a year of inactivity. In fairness, the Brit has been known to start off her season strongly, getting a 1:55.78 season opener in the pre-classic last year, and a 1:55.77 in the 2023 Paris Diamond League. But even then, running a second faster whilst coming back from a year off racing is astonishing. I wonder if Jakob can do the same. This has put Keely as a solid favourite for Tokyo in my opinion. The women's 800 hasn't been super competitive this year, with Keely sitting out, Athing Mo looking uninterested, and Mary Mora just... I don't even know what she's been up to be honest. No one is really standing out to challenge Keely, and she is unafraid of leading a fast race. I really don't know who can stop her if she maintains this form. Duguma has been looking solid this season, but she needs to drop a fast time to really assert herself as a rival. Maybe we'll see something happen in the upcoming Diamond Leagues, but I'm not holding my breath just yet. Moving on to the women's 3000 meter, where Faith Kipyegon gave it her all against the long-standing Chinese world record that has been widely scrutinized given it was done in the peak doping era of the 90s. Whatever suspicions we may have of doping now, it's pretty clear that it was on a completely different scale in the 90s era. We saw Beatrice Chebet give this record a go in the early season. While she did run the second fastest time ever, it wasn't seriously close to breaking the time. Kipyegon started off strong, however, with excellent pacing by none other than Sage Herteklecker, who has paced 2 of her world records, and Olympic silver medalist Jess Hull. Kipyegon will continue a super even pace, only wavering around 2400 meters with a 65.7. Despite giving it her best and finishing strong in the last 200 meters, she would just miss out on the world record by a second. Obviously a little disappointing, but you have to give her credit for running the second fastest time ever and really giving it a go. It seems as well that she's continuing her great form from Eugene. She's still my 1500 meter favourite for Tokyo and will be set up for an excellent duel with Chebet in the 5000 meters. Speaking of Chebet, we also saw her in a 1500 meter against the likes of Gudaf Tsegay and Georgia Hunter-Bell. And since Tsegay was running, you best believe this was going to be a weird race, especially with the wave lights being set at world record pace. Unlike her mile in London, Tsegay did actually settle behind the pacemakers this time. But just like in London, she still went out in a suicidal pace, running a 59.2 first 400 and going through 800 in 1:59 or 3:44 pace. 4 seconds quicker than the world record. Despite significantly slowing down, Tsegay would maintain a strong lead over the field and come home to a 3:50.62. 4 seconds ahead of Chebet, who finished strong in second. Now yes, Tsegay ran another historic time and won comfortably over a really solid field, but you gotta wonder what she'd be capable of if she ran a little more conservatively. Part of what makes Kipyegon so strong is that she knows when to conserve her energy and is always able to finish hard, even in world record attempts. And no, breaking 4 doesn't count. Her 3000 meter splits were pretty flawless, and yes, she had good paces, but she still maintained pretty even splits after they dropped out. Tsegay is not just being bold with her pacing, she's being reckless. I don't really think a world record was in order if she'd paced herself a bit more smartly, but you've got to imagine that 3:49 would have been possible if she opened in a 61 second first lap instead of a 59. I gotta wonder why she does this. Maybe she thinks she's actually a 3:45 runner. Maybe she just wanted to focus on the win and felt this was the best way to do it. I disagree when the commentators call her mentally weak, because a mentally weak runner doesn't run as aggressively as she does. But if she can learn to control that burning fire in the first half of the race, she could be a serious threat to Kipyegon. She arguably still is, but in a championship race, I see Kipyegon being much smarter with her race strategy, and she has still outperformed Tsegay this season. As for Chebet, the time felt a little underwhelming to me. I can understand her not following Tsegay, but I feel like 3:54 is a bit disappointing for a sub 14 5k runner, especially since she dropped a 28.8 second final 200 in that world record. Presumably, her focus became on winning the second place and hoping that Tsegay would fade, which was not an unreasonable strategy by any means. So I think she could have ran a little faster, but the race conditions just didn't allow for it. But now we've covered all the Diamond League stuff, let's look at the other news in the running world. Mainly Grand Slam Track, who released a statement admitting they were unable to pay their athletes the large prize pools they boasted for their meets. This has been going on for some weeks now, and information has been trickling through steadily. Initially, GST claimed the LA cancellation was due to some vague issues with the venue, and that they had achieved everything they wanted to this season already.
We feel that we've proven everything that we needed to this year in the first 3 slams.
However, it was soon revealed that the company had a major investor pull out, which only emboldened speculations that the league was in serious financial trouble. Eventually, CEO Michael Johnson straight up admitted to serious cash flow issues, which essentially translates to them saying, "We're screwed." Around the USA trials, Grant Fisher said the athletes had been promised their prize money by the 31st of July, and the people were probably going to get pretty upset if they weren't paid by that point. Sure enough, July 31st rolls round with no payment being given, and MJ posted a statement recently apologising and directly admitting he cannot pay the athletes right now. In the statement, he tries to make a big deal out of his commitment to not go ahead with Grand Slam Track in 2026 until the athletes have been paid. But this means nothing, because no athlete, investor or venue is going to touch GST with a 10-foot pole until they have repaid their debts from the 2025 season. And to be honest, even if they do pay the athletes back, I really struggled to see anyone trusting them anyway. But the money was really the main reason they were able to get such a stacked roster in the first place. Without that, they just seemed like a riskier option than the Diamond League with little upside. GST also clarified the situation with investors in their statement. They accused investors of backing out of the funding committed to them. But from what I have seen from news outlets, all GST had was a term sheet from a big investor who pulled out after the Kingston Slam, and this is the source of all their money troubles. A term sheet, as far as I know, is completely non-binding. The investor has every right to back out whenever they want, and they did after the first meet. Trump's tariffs was cited as one reason for this, but I also wonder if they saw the empty crowds at Kingston and decided they did not believe in the project anymore. Regardless, GST are trying to frame this as having the rug pulled out from under them, when the reality seems they were spending big money based on a hypothetical, non-binding promise from potential investors. Apparently MJ has been in talks with excited investors, which seems pretty unlikely, If we look back at GST's record of them being honest with us, it feels like this is a big exaggeration to just buy them some time. I mean, these investors are going to have to pay out millions of dollars in owed fees before they can even think about investing more millions into rebuilding this league from the ashes. I genuinely hope GST can recover from this and start anew, but it's looking less and less likely by the day. And if things aren't sorted out soon, things could get real ugly with lawsuits if athletes aren't paid. Nonetheless, thank you very much for watching this video and witnessing the chaos of track today with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy training.